On the clear desert night of March 13, 1997, one of the largest mass UFO sightings in modern history unfolded over the skies of Arizona. It was an event witnessed by thousands of people across a 300-mile corridor, from the Nevada state line, through Phoenix, and down to the outskirts of Tucson. Unlike fleeting glimpses of strange lights, this was a slow, silent, and overwhelmingly real spectacle that began around 7:30 p.m. and lasted for several hours, leaving a legacy of awe, confusion, and controversy. The first reports came from the north, near Henderson, Nevada, where a man reported seeing a massive V-shaped craft with 5 distinct lights fly overhead. As the evening progressed, the object, or objects, drifted south into Arizona. Witnesses from Prescott to Phoenix described the same thing with remarkable consistency. A gigantic, dark, boomerang-shaped object blotting out the stars as it passed. Its most distinct feature was a formation of 5 to 7 enormous amber or orange lights on its leading edge. What made the sighting so profoundly unsettling was its scale and silence. Witnesses from all walks of life, pilots, police officers, families having barbecues, amateur astronomers, estimated the object to be immense, with many describing it as being a mile wide. It moved with a slow, deliberate grace, gliding at a low altitude without making a single sound. Pilots flying in the area reported seeing it on their instruments and with their own eyes, but were baffled by its lack of a transponder signal and its impossible size. Air traffic controllers at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport tracked an unknown target on their radar, but couldn't identify it. One of the most compelling accounts came from a family in the northern Phoenix suburbs. The father, who had taken his sons out to look at the Hale-Bopp comet, saw the formation approaching. He later described how the V-shaped object was so large and so low that it felt like he was no longer on Earth, but watching a spaceship from a science fiction movie drift into view. As it passed directly over his house, he could see a solid, dark structure between the lights, a mass so vast it blocked out the entire constellation of Orion. He felt a sense of wonder rather than fear, stunned by the sheer majesty of what he was seeing. As the V formation reached the densely populated heart of Phoenix around 10:00 p.m., the 911 switchboards lit up. Thousands of people stood in their yards, on their balconies, and pulled over on highways to watch the silent behemoth pass overhead. The event was not a quick flash. It was a prolonged, undeniable presence. For many, it was a shared communal experience, a moment where the mundane reality of a Thursday night was shattered by something utterly inexplicable. The craft continued its silent journey south, passing over the southern edge of Phoenix, and eventually disappearing from view. In its wake, it left a profound question hanging in the desert air. What had so many people just seen? It was too big, too quiet, and too slow to be any known aircraft. And while the night was far from over, this first wave of sightings, the silent, structured, V-shaped craft, would become the core of the enduring mystery known as the Phoenix Lights. If you want to hear the official explanation that only deepened the controversy, and the bizarre role Arizona AS governor played in the whole affair, stay tuned and follow the channel for the next segment. As the massive V-shaped craft disappeared into the southern horizon, a second, equally bizarre event unfolded later that night, muddying the waters and creating a visual spectacle that would become the most photographed aspect of the Phoenix Lights. Around 10:00 p.m., just as the initial wave of reports was subsiding, a strange arc of bright, amber orbs appeared over the Sierra Estrella Mountains southwest of Phoenix. Unlike the moving V-shape, these lights appeared stationary or slowly drifting, hanging in the sky like a string of pearls before extinguishing one by one. This second event was captured on video by numerous residents, becoming the iconic footage seen on news broadcasts worldwide. To the casual observer, it looked like a fleet of UFOs hovering in formation. However, this specific part of the night has a terrestrial explanation that most experts, and eventually the military, agreed upon. The U.S. Air Force identified these lights as high-intensity LUU-2BB illumination flares dropped by A-10 Warthog aircraft from the Maryland Air National Guard, which were conducting training exercises at the nearby Barry M. Goldwater Range. According to the official explanation, the pilots dropped the flares at high altitude to illuminate the desert floor. From the perspective of Phoenix residents miles away, the flares appeared to hover over the mountains due to the distance and the angle of observation. As they fell behind the mountain ridge, they seemed to disappear or turn off. This flare drop theory is widely accepted by skeptics and military analysts as the cause of the 10:00 p.m. event. However, the flare explanation ignited a firestorm of controversy because it completely ignored the earlier, first phase of the sightings, the massive, silent V-shaped craft that had glided over the state hours before the flares were dropped. Witnesses were furious. They argued that flares do not fly in a rigid V formation against the wind, do not block out the stars as a solid object, and certainly do not silently cruise over a major city at rooftop level. By focusing solely on the flares, the military and media effectively gaslit thousands of people who had seen something entirely different earlier in the evening. The situation was exacerbated by the initial response from state officials. In the days following the incident, media interest reached a fever pitch. Arizona Governor Fife Symington held a press conference to address the growing hysteria. In a move that would go down in infamy, he announced that they had found the culprit. He then brought out his chief of staff, dressed in a ridiculous alien costume, complete with a rubber mask and handcuffs. The room erupted in laughter, but for the witnesses who had been deeply affected by what they saw, it was a slap in the face. Symington had turned a potential national security event into a joke. For years, the governor's stunt silenced credible witnesses, including police officers and pilots, who feared ridicule if they spoke out. But the story took a shocking twist a decade later. In 2007, long after leaving office, Fife Symington publicly apologized. He admitted that he had ridiculed the event to prevent public panic, but revealed a stunning secret. He too had seen the craft that night. A former Air Force pilot himself, Symington described the object as otherworldly, and unlike any human technology he had ever encountered. He confirmed what thousands of his constituents had claimed all along. The V-shaped craft was real, enormous, and definitely not a flare. If you want to explore the legacy of this event and why, nearly 3 decades later, the Phoenix Lights remain the gold standard for mass UFO sightings, stay tuned and follow the channel for the final segment. Nearly 3 decades have passed since the Phoenix Lights, yet the event refuses to fade into the archives of debunked folklore. It remains the gold standard of modern UFO sightings, not because of blurry photos or wild conspiracy theories, but because of the sheer volume and credibility of the witnesses. This was not a lonely farmer in a field. This was an entire metropolis looking up and seeing the impossible. The event defied the typical narrative of mass hysteria. People didn't panic. They watched in silent awe. And crucially, they saw the same thing, a massive, solid, V-shaped craft, hours before the military flares ever lit up the sky. The official silence surrounding the first phase of the event, the 8 p.m. overflight of the massive craft, remains the most damning aspect of the case. While the Air Force was quick to explain away the 10 p.m. lights as flares, they have never offered a single plausible explanation for the earlier sightings. There is no record of a massive stealth blimp, a formation of silent helicopters, or a secret military prototype flying over Arizona that night. Even if it had been a secret project, flying a multi-billion-dollar experimental aircraft at low altitude over a major population center would be a reckless operational security failure. The Phoenix Lights incident forced a shift in how we talk about UFOs, now UAPs. It moved the conversation away from little green men and towards the reality of unexplained aerial phenomena that can physically intrude into civilian airspace with impunity. It highlighted the disconnect between public experience and government transparency. When thousands of citizens, including police and pilots, report a mile-wide craft, and the official response is ridicule followed by silence, trust erodes. For the people of Phoenix, the memory is vivid. Every year on March 13th, witnesses gather to share their stories. New documentaries and investigations continue to unearth testimonies from people who stayed silent for years, fearing professional backlash. Some witnesses have described seeing military jets scrambled to intercept the object, only to turn away as they approached the behemoth. Others recall the way the craft blocked out the stars, a negative space in the sky that was more terrifying than the lights themselves. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Phoenix Lights is the sense of unity it created. For a few hours, political divisions, social status, and skepticism vanished. Everyone was just a human being standing under the same sky, confronted with a mystery that was bigger than their understanding of the world. Governor Symington's eventual admission validated their experience. They weren't crazy. They had seen something that challenged the boundaries of reality. Today, as the U.S. government begins to slowly open up about UAPs with congressional hearings and declassified reports, the Phoenix Lights stands as a towering precursor. It is a reminder that the skies are still full of unknowns. Whether it was extraterrestrial visitors, interdimensional technology, or something else entirely, the Phoenix Lights proved one thing definitively. We are not always the ones in control of our own airspace. The Phoenix Lights incident challenges us to keep looking up and asking questions, even when the answers are uncomfortable. If this deep dive into one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries fascinated you, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Share this video to help keep the search for truth alive. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next documentary.